On with us. Peter, we know that you have supported Ron Paul as a candidate. When you hear from people like David say, you know what, Wall Street just wants a winner, what do you think of that theory?
No, that's not a good theory. No, Wall Street gets just about everything wrong, and I guess politics is no exception. I mean, the public wants change, and the reason they want change is because we're in a severe recession. We got runaway inflation. The only person that can deliver meaningful change is Ron Paul. He's the only one that understands the mess that we're in. He knows how we got into this mess, and he understands what's going to be necessary so that we can dig our way out of this hole.
Right. But we don't want to turn this into an advertisement for Ron Paul, by the way. Well, Peter, there are a couple of politicians, one of whom I believe you support, you're a Ron Paul guy, if I'm not mistaken, who say, look, it's time to just, pull up our boots, cut organizations that we don't need of questionable purpose, like the Department of Commerce, perhaps the Department of Education, the Department of Energy. Is anybody going to take folks like that seriously?
Well, I hope so. I'm taking them seriously. I've given them money. I've encouraged my clients to give them money. I would encourage the viewers of the program to give money to Ron Paul and give them your vote. Why should we expect Congress to spend our money wisely? I mean, it's not their money. It's our money. That's the problem.
That's right.
They're spending our money to secure their own re-election. And that's what's important to them, but it's not important to us.
Peter, I'm going to bring this up with Mary Matlin here in a few minutes as we talk about John McCain, but where are the real conservatives? Where are the people that say all of this stuff that the Fed is doing is socialism? Well, we are socializing and nationalizing.
Exactly. There was one, Ron Paul, but they drummed him out of the Republican Party. I mean, nobody would pay him any attention. He's the only guy that has the courage to speak the truth. Look at what he says on the Senate Banking Committee when he talks to Ben Bernanke and when he talked to Alan Greenspan all these years. He's talked about all this. He's warned about all this, but everybody has ignored him and others like him. I mean, I get marginalized in the mainstream financial world, just like Ron Paul has been marginalized in the political world.
Right.
Either one of you guys think that we have a candidate that will reduce the size of government?
Just Ron Paul, who you're going to be interviewing later, and unfortunately, he's not running.
Yeah,
maybe we can all write his name in.
All right. Peter,
I agree.
Steve, thank you very much.
Peter, I got to ask you, we know that you're for Ron Paul. We know how Ron Paul hates the Fed. How do you get rid of the Fed? Do you just declare tomorrow that it's gone? I mean,
well,
what do you have to do to kill it if you want to kill it?
Well, remember, it didn't always exist. It came into existence in 1913.
Nor did the income tax.
Yeah, and then, we were still on the gold standard until 1971. So I'm sure there are ways to try to, to wean our way back to honest money, to go back on a gold standard. We're going to have to do something like that, because otherwise Americans are going to see their savings completely destroyed.
So, Peter, by your definition, do things get worse faster under President Hillary Clinton or, let's say, a President John McCain?
Well, they're going to get pretty bad, and under either president. If you want anybody in office who's going to help the situation, then you got to vote for Ron Paul tomorrow, because he's the only Republican who has a shot of getting elected.
Don't you? You love Ron Paul.
Well, you ought to vote for him.
You're a contributor, right? You're a contributor.
I contributed to him. I'm actually officially one of his economic advisors. And ironically,
well,
he's the only
cockeyed, optimistic team.
He's the only candidate in the race who doesn't need any economic advice. He should be advising all the other candidates.
Well, he is a smart guy, as are you, Peter.
Peter, sometimes, though, uncertainty is better than certainty for Wall Street if it doesn't like the outcome. Do you think Wall Street will like this one?
Well, I think that's the problem. There is some certainty here. We're pretty certain that one of these guys is going to get the nomination on both sides, and I don't think any of them are going to be good for the market. I don't think the Republicans, unless for some reason we manage to nominate Ron Paul, I don't think any of these Republicans has a chance of winning against either of the Democrats, because we're going to be in a very severe recession by the time the election comes around. And unfortunately, the mainstream candidates have embraced the Bush agenda and the Bush economy, and I think they're going to get blamed for the recession, and I think they're going to have to deal with it at the polls.
So you're a bear on stocks and a bear on candidates, all of them. Okay.
Will big business end up getting behind Obama if he emerges as a Democratic frontrunner?
Because is the theory you don't want to throw good money after something that's not really going to be a winner? That's the question. Our Fox panel back now to talk about it. Peter Schiff, let's get your thought right away.
I gave my $2,300 to Ron Paul, and that's the only money I'm donating. But yeah, I'm sure that the big businesses, they'll get behind Barack, especially since it looks like he's probably going to get the nomination, and whoever wins on the Democratic nomination is going to win in a landslide. So big business, they want something from politicians. They're always in bed together, so they're going to give Barack money because they think that when he becomes president, they're going to get it back. in some type of special favor, whatever influence they can buy.
Well, what specifically is he going to do that makes you worried as an American?
He's going to try to revive that bubble economy. He's going to try to get Americans spending money and borrowing again. And that's the disease. That's not the cure. He's going to try to create bigger government. He's going to try to borrow a lot more money from foreigners to spend it on government programs designed to encourage even more consumption. And, of course, he's going to raise taxes on the very people that we need to try to provide the future employment opportunities for all the people who are going to lose their jobs during this contraction. And, you know, when we have higher taxes on the people who are going to create jobs, we're actually going to end up getting less tax revenues. We're going to have a bigger government deficit. We could be looking at $1 to $2 trillion deficits during the Obama presidency.
And how's that different than McCain, who also wants to get banks lending again?
Look,
I'm just confused here as to how this is specific
I'm not in
to
favor of
Obama.
McCain at all. Look, McCain's all wrong.
So you're, okay, so it's not...
Remember,
I
supported Ron Paul. I mean, he was the only guy that was actually saying anything that was truly different.
Okay.
But the problem is going to be, he's going to come in, Obama, like for a New Deal. Like this is the 1930s and he's Roosevelt. The problem is we're already broke from the old New Deal. We can't afford the new one that we're going to get now. And this is going to be a much, much bigger government. I think the only positive that could come out of this whole fiasco is that the economy is going to be in such lousy shape 5 years from now. This recession is going to be so much worse at the end of his first term that maybe he won't have a second. And maybe we'll actually have an opportunity to elect somebody who will actually bring the reforms that we need, which is a dramatic reduction in the size of government. We need to abolish government agencies and programs. We need dramatic cuts in entitlement spending.